to see, even though we're indoors. You are looking down your target line right there. There's your eyes looking down the line, and we have that little blue head cover, which kind of gives you a rough idea where you're aiming at, okay, that I've circled there. There you are looking down the target line. That's a good habit to be in. Eyes come back to the ball, and within a half second, you're into motion, okay? So what I'm going to look at right here is, I'm going to trim off or get rid of that stuff at the beginning. But the first thing I want to look at is something called the K position and ball position, okay? And I'm going to put a picture of you up against Tiger back when Tiger was playing well. So this is not Tiger's new, confused, muddled swing. This is 2000 or 1999, right at the end of his change with Butch Harmon's when he was setting the world on fire. He's got a pitching wedge in his hand. You see that? A very lofted club. Okay? First thing to say is, where's the ball placed between his feet?
It's really up front.
It's in the forward part of the stance. And I'm going to use his heels. There's his front right heel, or sorry, front left heel. Here's his back right heel. So that's in the front third to quarter of the stance with a lofted club. Okay? There's a lot of misinformation out there, and Johnny Miller's responsible for it on Sunday afternoon golf about tour pros putting the ball back in their stance or in the front of their stance, well, let me show you another picture just now this is a bit of an anomaly. Okay, where's he got that ball placed between his feet? Right in line with his heel. You see it? Yeah. And again, a fairly lofted club that might be a 6 iron, or sorry, a 7 or 8 iron. Okay, not a wedge, but a 7 or 8 iron. Okay. Okay, and he did all right with it. I'll tell you who that is in a minute. Okay. Here's another tour pro back when he was playing the tour full time. Yeah, here's that clip. I know it doesn't look like it. 2002. Okay. That's Ian Leggett. That's the end of 2002. He'd won the tournament in Tucson, the Olympics that year. So he learned how to play out of Jack Nicklaus's book, Golf My Way. Look where he's got the ball. Now, he's hitting a 5 iron, okay? But again, now, that's unusual to see a ball that far forward, okay? But that's Jack Nicklaus right there in the red pants, okay? So if he did okay. He had a pretty good career. Tiger's had a pretty good career so far, right? Okay? So we want to draw some conclusions out of that. I'm going to wrap the ball position thing up in a minute when we talk about where you had it placed for your irons and for your woods. But take a look, one more thing here, the way he's placed his feet. You see how he's got this left toe or left foot flared out? Okay? And there's the inside of his right foot. Okay? So he's got his right foot fairly square, and he's got his left toe flared out. Okay? You've got your front foot almost square and your back toe a little more flared out. Okay? So I know this sounds arcane and nitpicky, but it's important for a whole bunch of reasons. Okay? And the last thing I want to show you from this position is I want you to look at this side of his body. His calf, his hip, and his shoulder are all in line. Do you see that?
Right. He's just addressing the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay? But in your address position, you see how your shoulders are almost level? And looks more like hourglass. Okay, comes into the hips, out to the feet. There's the hourglass. Right? And he's got a reverse K. Okay. Now in the television, it shows up as a reverse K. When we do this in a moment, with that little blue mirror that you've got down at your feet right here, okay, you'll see a K. And when you do this at home in front of a mirror, you'll see a K. And if you use your shadow, sun behind your back, shadow on the ground, you're going to see a K. So we'll call it the K position. But you see what I mean? So there's the first 3 things I want to look at. The ball position, the K position, and the way you place your feet. Well, remember, he had a wedge in his hand or 9 iron, and he will stand a little bit wider with his driver. Okay? But that's the first thing to say is that Johnny, I'll do a quick 30-second tutorial on what you hear out of Johnny Miller every day. And I'm not saying Johnny Miller is wrong in that that's the way he played when he was growing up, and it's the way a lot of them played, although Nicklaus was the the exception to the rule. But what, and without going into the whole history of this, 3 guys wrote a book. Okay, Hogan wrote the book first. Snead wrote the book second. Nicklaus wrote the book third. They all say different things. So there's confusion out there. And that stuff was written in the early 50s, the late 50s, and the late 60s. Okay, there's been a lot more information. Science has told us things. We have Iron Byron. They got electrodes strapped to people and all this sort of stuff. But the history of where you said I dropped the ball back in my stance further is that it really came from Snead's book. And the reason he's not quite as famous as Hogan, he's not anywhere near as famous as Nicklaus, but he wrote the manual for the PGA of America after he stopped playing tournament golf. He taught golf till the day he died at 93 years old. He went to the Greenbriers in West Virginia and hung out there and taught lessons till he died. He wanted to be around golf the rest of his life. So the PGA of America picked up his stuff, and so a lot of golf pros learned out of it. The reason it's so confusing is he had 4 ball placements and 13 different feet placements. Okay? And if you could practice every day and could be very precise with it, it can work. But it's very difficult to master. Okay? Hogan and Nicklaus had 1 ball position, which differed. I'll tell you that in a second. But 13 feet placement. So Nicklaus had every club lined up off of his left heel. His sand wedge was very narrow and a little bit open. There was his sand wedge. It would get wider, and by the time he got to a driver, his past shoulder width, this foot was flared open and pulled back. And so, but he moved this foot 13 places for all 13 clubs. Hogan had it that far inside the heel and 13 different feet placements. Right. And that's what generically, the problem with all those methods is there's 13 different setups. Right? But
just slightly different than the other.
Right, and when most people tell me about that, the way they set up to the ball, they just generically, they don't do much other than they don't change the way their feet are placed. They just say, I play my wedges here, play my short irons here, play my long irons here, play my driver up here. Oh, and I stand a little wider with my driver. And that might be the only thing I hear. So they got a moving ball position, but nothing changes in their feet. Nothing changes in their stance width. Right? Okay? So I got a simpler way for you, and that's that there's 2 ball positions. 1 for irons and 1 for woods. Okay? Why would we have a different one for irons and woods?
Because what's the
A lot more out.
no, not more is sweeping.
Okay.
Swing.
Woods you're sweeping.
Iron is down low.
Irons you're hitting down. Excellent. That's exactly
That's
it.
what I heard.
That's
I know.
exactly it.
I thought you were supposed to hit the drivers the same way, downwards.
No.
No.
The driver's the one club you can actually hit up on. Now, let's talk theory versus practice, because what we learn is we learn a golf swing. We learn a template. So the template for an iron is that the club's got to be coming down fairly sharply and hitting the ball with a downward descending blow, ball first, ground second. And with a wood, we want to be sweeping or coming in flat or shallow at the bottom of the arc. Now, most woods, almost every time you hit a wood or a hybrid, it's on the ground. Okay? 14 times around, you get to tee up your driver or your 3-wood or your hybrid. Okay? It's a little different when the hybrid or the wood are on the tee. And a lot different for the driver sitting up with the big jumbo heads on the big tees. You can actually swing up a little bit on the driver if you have the ball far enough forward. Okay? Anyway, but let's just talk in theory. You got the flat hit and the downward hit. Okay? So the image for the iron is that we want to trap, squeeze, pinch this ball to make it jump this club, right? There's that cut spin from table tennis or tennis. Open the racket, swing down, you have backspin. No golf shot gets airborne without backspin. Okay? All right, sorry, we got a little, you won't have all of this on your desk, but there's a little bit of the history on it, okay? All right, so let's get you set up first of all, and I'll give you a little routine. You're going to leave this club just so you can, it'll show up on the, oh, my camera's gone dark. Yeah, it'll show up. There we go. It'll show, this will get more light. Let's Let's use a steel shaft. All right, there we go. Yeah, that shows up better. Okay. So you'll notice that the camera angles are a little off because we've got the camera split to get the two screens. So that's the other reason Johnny Miller's not usually right when he talks about television, on television. I heard, did you watch any of the golf on the weekend?
Watch the FedEx one?
Yeah, on Saturday when Bill Haas was tied for the lead and he hit this big, not Sunday, but he hooked a shot and hit it almost into the water, and Johnny said, oh, he had the ball way forward. Well, no, he didn't. Camera angle for Johnny Miller to tell has to be 90 degrees. As soon as you get this camera off, even this is only off 8, 10 degrees, it screws up what the camera's telling you. Anyway, all right, so be careful what you listen to on Johnny Miller, okay? All right. Listen to him when he talks about why people are choking. Listen to him when he talks about strategy, but don't listen to him when he's talking about swing mechanics, okay? All right. All right, so you do not have to copy this routine, okay? And it's a one suggested way to do it. However you come to this, you can figure it out yourself. Like, for instance, Greg Norman did it the opposite of this, okay? But if I'm hitting an iron shot, I'll put my feet together, pick up my left foot, flare the toe open a little bit, move this out to shoulder width. So feet together, pick it up, flare it open, shoulder width. Okay? That's for the irons. And it's just two-step process if it's a wood, right?
Kind of all irons?
Yeah.
All irons?
Yeah.
So the ball would be in the tee mark.
Yeah.
Way at-
Yep.
Right.
Yep. There you go.
So you line it right to it.
Yep.
That's really good. Or just
Yeah, just pick it up.
flare it.
Yeah. Kind of doing two steps, but that's fine.
And then open up.
Okay. Now, where's your 7-iron? You got it?
The back is more straight on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It doesn't need to be dead square, but
Okay.
take your club every once in a while and just stick it in there. If you've got air between the hosel and your heel, you've gone too far. So move it right up against there. That's not a bad gauge for a 7-iron.
Okay.
Okay? Okay? So the width of your club face.
Right.
Okay? And just kick that heel out a little bit, just the heel. Yeah. There we go. And maybe a tiny bit wider. Yeah, that. No, just the heel.
Yep, just
No,
the heel.
just the heel. Square it up. There you go. Okay. So this is 1, 2, close to 3. Okay?
So 1 and 3.
Yeah, roughly, or 1 and 2.5, or 1 and yeah, somewhere in that vicinity.
The ball is, but
Easy to remember.
Right?
so the ball starts off in the middle.
Yep.
Start off in the middle. And the flare. So line
Perfect. You got it. Okay. Now take your grip. We're going to talk in a second about how far away to be in posture, which is the fourth element. The third being grip, and we're going to deal with grip at the end of the session today, because it's at the end of your time with me anyway, because it's the most difficult thing to get going. But just set up to the ball, put the club behind it, and then I want you to look down in that little blue mirror down at your feet. Okay? Now, I'm going to take your hip line and shift it left, and I take your chest and spine and tip it right. You see the straight line starting to take shape? There's the cut-in portion. Now, I might have shifted you a little too far left. I'll nudge you back a hair, but I'm still going to tip that. There you go.
Is this rotating forward a bit?
Yeah, it might have. Rotated back to actually to square. You got a little open with the way your shoulders were lined up before. Okay? Yeah, we want our belt line and our shoulder line or knee line. We don't want to be open here or open or closed. We want them all to be fairly square.
Okay, yeah, I can see that straight line starting to come out.
Okay? Again, I'm going to take your spine and tip it to the right a little bit.
So this is a straight spine when you look at it? Or it's,
Well, no, it's tilted. I've tilted your spine off 90 degrees, 3 or 4 degrees. You notice that this is now higher than this?
Yep.
And there's your new setup. Okay?
That's how I fixed my driver. I mean, the fading problem.
I've never had this before. I think I've always tried to level up.
Now, just for fun, do that again one more time. Now, I know this is going to feel like you're miles from the ball, but don't move your feet.
Okay.
Put the club behind the ball. Now, take a look in the camera. Put a bit of knee flex into that back knee. Bit more. Good. And you feel the weight going to the heels a little bit? Yes? No?
It's more on this toe right now.
Which toe?
The front toe.
Okay. All right. Again, you kind of overdone things a little bit here. I'm going to back you up here and back you up there a little bit. There we go. Now, look in the TV. I'm going to drop your arms a little bit. Now, I'm going to push you towards the ball, but I'm going to keep your hands low. Feel the weight starting to crawl onto the balls of your feet a little bit? Bend over a bit more from here. There you go. Stay tall here. There you go. Okay, you ready? Do you think you can hit a ball from there? Probably not. Or take a deep breath. Have another look in the, I'm not sure this is perfect yet, by the way, but have a look again in the blue mirror here. Just again, a bit more tilt that way with the upper body. There we go. Drop your arms, drop the butt into the club. Okay, now you're too far from it, so shuffle forward 1 inch. There you go. Check that little blue mirror. There you go. Drop, keep the arms dropped. Take a deep breath. Give me a swing. Good. Now, I'm not worried about the result of the swing. I'm not worried about whether you finished properly or any of those sorts of things, okay? But there's the new setup, and this may not be the final completion yet, but we're working towards.
Yeah, it's already starting. I can see it.
Right. Now, I think we've got too much space in here, and we'll come to that in a minute. But let me just put you up against what you were doing before, okay? Right. Now, why do you look smaller in the right screen? Because you're further away from the camera. Okay? We moved you along. That's why you physically look. Right, yeah, right. And you'll see that from the other view in a minute, how much farther away from the ball. Now, again, I'm not sure. I think we probably had you too far this time, but I wanted to illustrate it. But again, slightly wider stance than before. There's that side of the body close to the straight line. There's your K taking shape. Okay? There's tilt to the shoulders, right? There's the spine tilted a little bit away from the target. Okay? The triangle's high on this, high on this side, lower on this side. There's the bottom of the triangle, okay? Ball position for sure is farther forward instead of there. We've slightly wider, that foot flared open, okay? And again, I'm not 100% sure we got perfect here, but you see how much sharper, all these young guys on TV, you see now Nick Watney and Vijagas, all these guys have beautiful posture when they show us this view, right? That's hard.
It looks a lot better.
Yeah. Now, probably need either a touch more knee flex in both knees or to move you a tiny bit closer. But this angle here was too extreme. Okay? Too much. This one, getting closer. Okay? Somewhere in that vicinity. Okay? All we got to do is get you a little bit closer. All right. So there's the three elements of the setup. I want to now show you, going back to your original swing. Oh, you know what we should do just for fun? Let's get you set up differently with your wood. So grab that 3 wood. And we don't need a ball, but you can set up to the rubber tee again.
Same kind of thing. Let's line up.
Yeah, this is a little off for the wood, but yeah, okay, there you go. So don't move the left foot. Just flare the toe open.
Don't move the left.
Yeah, just flare it open. There you go. Right foot. Got it. Take your grip. Now again, you may feel like you're miles from the ball. Okay? Okay, now carefully, this back knee, there you go, a little bit of knee bend. Now, the K still needs to be there, but the whole K is going to shift to the right. Okay? So this should still be just nudge into my hand here a little bit. This should still be a straight line, but I'm taking the whole K and pushing you a little bit more so you feel a little bit more weight in the right foot. And you'll likely feel like you're looking at a lot more of the back of the ball from the position that you're in.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes, definitely. I used to look at the top more.
Yeah. So you're looking at the back quarter instead of the top quarter, right? Okay? So there's your new setup right there.
Actually, it kind of feels better already.
Well, you know what? What it's doing is it's giving you a little bit more room for your arms to swing by your body. And I'll show you your swing here in a moment. But without getting into too many crazy drills or buying too many crazy swing aids that don't really work all that well off of the Golf Channel, getting you further away will help you come from the inside path a little more. It'll force you to. Okay? So if you look at that ball and you see the practice stripe, okay, you want to be coming and trying to think about hitting the inside of that line on the practice strike to get the ball from the inside. Right? Like the club's actually going to come, that's right, into contact. Okay? So again, I'm going to give you a little bump to the right here. Okay, the shaft can be neutral. There you go. And your hips are a little bit, yeah. There you go. That's it.
How much should I be bending my knees? The right amount.
You're fairly tall. You got to feel some activity in your quads.
Okay,
but
so enough to feel some.
Yeah, you got to feel like they're working. Okay. So again, just I won't have you swing there because now the net might come into play. just because I've got you swinging more rounded off and more shallowed off than before. But so here's the before and after pictures on the fairway wood. Okay. And again, I'm not 100% sure we've got you in the right spot, so you may have to experiment with the distance away part of it. But
It's starting to take shape though.
right, right. Okay, so there's the tilt. There's that side of the body angled a bit more. You'll see there's more shoulder tilt as a result, a little bit more spine tilt as a result compared to your new iron position.
Right. So the driver's going to have more shoulder
Yeah,
tilt.
yeah. You're going to have more lean to the right, to the back leg there. Okay, and there versus there.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a clip from Gary Hallberg. This clip was taken 13 years ago when he was up here for the Canadian Open. That's how long this old ancient computer of mine's been working. But he was up for the Canadian Open. He won last year on the Champions Tour. Shot 60 the final day about a year ago to win the major. I just turned 50 last year. But anyway, one of the more efficient ball strikers that was out there. But what I wanted to show you is that things do change as we move from irons to woods.
Okay.
The hands get further away, right? We see that? This angle becomes more straight line, right?
Right. Okay.
Although look at that, it shows up as almost the same, doesn't it? Well, partly, and the reason it shows up as that is because he's got his wrist angle a little bit more. But again, there's the top of his forearm. There's the top of his forearm. They're on a different angle, aren't they? Right? The amount of space in here, right? That's changed. Right? How much he's bent it from his lower back, that changes.
Right.
Okay?
But the feet positioning and
The stance seems to be more closed.
The camera angle, we had to move the camera. You can see the mats aren't quite the same. Just a little bit. We had to move it a little bit just because of where he was standing. But right? So again, you see what I mean about this side of the K angling a bit more to the right. This one being more vertical. Okay? All right. Let's go back to your swing, and then I'm gonna give you one or two simple thoughts, drills, and then we're gonna deal with your grip, and then we'll see how your dad's making it. Okay? But back to, I'm primarily going to use your 7-iron swing because whatever mistakes you're making in your golf swing will only get exacerbated as the clubs get longer.
Right.
The movement pattern, it's very, very unusual for me to see somebody who swings their iron, or the motion that they make, or the sequence of movement that they make. Very unusual to see somebody who is different with their irons than they are with their woods, especially when you played the limited amount of golf you actually have. Okay, so I framed your legs. I put in there's all kinds of ways to look at what's called swing plane. One of the usual ways is to draw something in that shaded area there where there's a wedge or a V. That gets pretty confusing for people. I use a single line. It's kind of a hybrid line. It's a guideline for me. So don't get confused if you start watching Golf Channel. First thing I want to say in your backswing is a couple things are happening. Your hips are sliding laterally in this direction. You see the way they've moved through this line? Your whole your whole thigh and your hip's actually going up as it rotates backwards. Okay? See that happening with your right hip? Very, very common error. Sideways motion.
you want to actually keep your hips stable and rotate.
Right, right. We don't want any lateral. I'll show you Gary Hallberg again in a minute. The other thing that happens as you go back is the face of the club is going back what's called closed or shut. You see the bottom leading edge of the club there? Okay? As it goes back, there's the bottom leading edge of the club. As it goes back, there's the bottom leading edge of the club. Okay? Okay? And your arms are sort of pulled to the inside, your elbow, your hands have come well underneath this line. That's a motion called being inside and stuck with a shut face. So, looks something like this. I'm exaggerating, okay? Whereas what you'll see with a Tour Pro, and I'll show you Hallberg in a minute, is the club's going to go right back up that yellow line roughly, and you're going to see the club look more like that instead of like that. You see, look at the TV?
Yeah, I see that.
That's the way you are, and you're actually kind of back in here.
What did you do with your hands to, I guess, make it go?
Okay, so there's going to be some forearm rotation that we're going to get to in a minute. So before I show you anything else with Gary, let's just stand up here without a ball set up here, and I'm going to get you to use that TV, and I'm going to get you to check at this halfway back that the toe of the club is pointing straight up. And the second thing I want you to check is that the club head does not come inside of an extension of your toe line too early. Okay, so there's an extension of your toe line. This is what I mean about having room at home. Okay, you can set up a little station if you have a window or a mirror, anywhere you can watch yourself. Sometimes you'll have the mirror here, sometimes you'll have the mirror here, but just getting used to turning. There's the toe up, and the hands and the club and the arms are over the extension of this toe line. Okay, you want to try that a couple times? Nice and slow. You can let your eyes come off the imaginary ball here.
So it's a rotation.
You're not even that high. Just to here. And let your hips turn a little bit, and then look in the TV. See that? The toe of the club needs to point. No, hang on. It's fine where it is, but the toe needs to be more up by that. There you go. So you feel that little quarter turn in your forearms? Slicers hate this because they feel like the face has gotten more open, which should make it slice more, right? There you go.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Okay?
I don't often.
Okay, the next thing I want you to do is instead of looking back here, I want you to set up into your K.
Okay.
And you see that pink water noodle in the background here? Okay, I'm going to move it over closer to your leg. You need to see it all the time. Don't let it get out of your view.
Okay.
Now you need to turn, though. Oh. This is the hard part. This is the hard part. Okay, you feel how much more aggressive that rotation is? Okay, but watch down here, though, because I don't want the leg to go the opposite direction either, right? It needs to stay right where it is. You ready? Now, can you bend your knee a little? Kind of. There you go. Okay, so there's your halfway back position. That's all I want you practicing. Okay, if that's the only backswing drill you do, there's two components. One is watching from this view that your hips are turning, but not the right leg sliding. It's tough, isn't it? There you go. There you go.
Right.
And the second's looking from here, that the arms aren't coming back in here,
Right.
and that the face isn't going back shut. Okay, so just do that, nice and slow. That's it, just to there. Now, a little wrist break. This is a half backswing. Okay?
So it comes up open, and then you get that.
That's right. Now from there, we're going to make a half follow through, and here's baseball over the third baseman's head.
Right.
So we opened it on the way back, but now we got to close it on the way through. This is hook spin.
What do you mean by a hook spin?
Hooking to the left.
Oh.
Curving to the left. Not pulling to the left, but curving to the left. There, hinge it, and forward. Bingo.
Wow, that feels weird.
It feels out of control, feels, right? So the last thing I want to do with you, let's get you to do that one more time. I want you to give a little swish as you go by. I want to hear the carpet. Okay, but again, remember you're only going to swing to here and to here. You're going to hit this 50 yards. Far enough. Far enough, and forward. There you go. A little more carpet. I want to hear the carpet. Far enough. Bingo. You feel that right palm turning down?
Yeah, actually, it's almost a bit more natural, too.
It is. It's a natural. The hard shot in table tennis, the one you kill your opponent with, is that topspin smash, right? Same in tennis. Home run in baseball, the big ones are down the third baseline, not first base. Yeah. That's an accident if you hit a home run over the first baseman's head, right? Okay?
I had no idea my hips were moving so much.
Well, they were moving. No. They were moving laterally.
Laterally, yeah.
Not rotationally enough. Okay? All right, try that with a ball one time. And again, remember, I only want you to imagine you're hitting it 70 yards, 60 yards. Yeah, it'll help your pitching game, too. It'll help all those short shots you got to learn how to hit better. So don't watch anything. Just going to take it back halfway and hit it over third base. Far enough, third base. Bingo. You just hit it. You didn't see it, but it went left. Okay? Now, same thing. Hit it over third base, but I want you to hit that penny I put down in front of the golf ball.
Instead of the ball.
Well, the ball's going to go too, but I want you to make sure the club's on the carpet where that penny is. So, far enough, third base. Bingo. They're going left. Now, if they start going low left, That's because your swing path, giving you a lot of info here today, but if this is a correct swing path, club coming back slightly from the inside, square here, and then back to the inside, means your swing path's going that way too much.
Okay.
So